What's happening, Expeditioners? It's Peter Waitzman here, founder of Expedition Money. I am excited to talk to you today about a topic that comes up. It's pretty universal, and that is our credit scores. And you may be familiar with your credit score. Maybe it's something that you've worked on a long time. In fact, my credit score was absolutely in the dumps. I started with a score in the 500s after I got myself into trouble with debt, but here I am now in the 800s, and it's been a long journey, but there are a lot of things that I wish I had known back then when I was hoping to get a better credit score so that I could get a better deal on a cell phone and the apartment that I wanted and the credit cards and the loans that I wanted. There are a lot of reasons that we want a better credit score, and you might have your own. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about the easiest things that you can do right now to make an impact on your credit score. So I'm going to go over the three things that you can own and that you can do over the next few months that should have a nice impact on your credit score, especially if you're in that poor, that average area. That's really what I'm talking about. People who are starting out, maybe you've had some past dues in the past, you've been late on payments, you have a spotty credit history, maybe you have a bankruptcy in the past or a foreclosure or defaults. This is what I'm talking about for you that are just starting out. You don't want to become an expert on your credit score, but you just want to do some things right now that will start getting you in the right direction. This is for you. I am going to throw in my disclaimer here that obviously everyone is a little bit different. While I am generalizing the strategies here in this presentation, obviously you want to make sure that they're right for you, right? Your credit score, your credit profile may vary, and the effects may vary for you. I'm just going to give you some general information here. So definitely seek out the help of a professional, whether it's a financial advisor, a financial coach, or counselor, so that you can take the best steps for you. So what I wanted to do here was kind of come up with the very first thing. People who are either building credit or recovering from past bad credit. So I built this presentation here. It's called Credit Trail T1. T1 is a trail rating. So if you are an outdoorsman, you like hiking, you can actually see a rating for a trail. It'll go T1, T2, T3, up to T6. But T1 means it's a paved trail. It's nice and flat, no elevation changes. You can do it in walking shoes. And so this is going to be the easiest it gets. Think of it as like a sidewalk through a forest, or maybe you have a park in your neighborhood or a forest preserve that you can just go walk and enjoy an afternoon out, and anyone can do it. You can probably push a stroller on T1 types of trails. And so that's what this is. It's really basic and it's just starting out, but hopefully I think you'll find it maybe actually the most valuable of any of them. So what I wanted to do here was give you three steps that you can own and do over the next 6 months. And I say that you can own because a lot of times I see suggestions that are dependent on someone else. And we can talk about those. Like becoming an authorized user on someone else's credit card. Well, that's a great strategy for getting some of that borrowed benefit. It makes you dependent on someone else. We can't force ourselves onto someone else's credit profile. We have to ask them to do it, and then we have to go ahead and do it, and then they can kick us off at any point. These are all things that I wanted you to be able to do regardless of your situation, that really aren't dependent on someone else kind of doing you a favor. So the first thing I wanted to mention here is Experian Boost. And I bring up Experian Boost because it's probably the most popular credit booster available. You probably see ads for this, TV commercials for it. They have, I think, a purple cow in it and John Cena. And basically what this is it is an attachment that you can get to your bank account from one of the credit bureaus, Experian in this case, and they will monitor your bank account for recurring payments like your rent or your utility bills or your Netflix bill, those types of things where you're paying regularly and paying on time. And they will give you a little bit of a boost for that because that is not necessarily something that they would normally see on your credit report because those entities don't necessarily report back to credit bureaus. And so they can say, hey, well, Pete, we're only monitoring 2 or 3 obligations that you have, but now we can see you actually have 7, 8, or 9 obligations and you're always on time with those and you're regular about those. So we will give you a little bit of that boost in your credit score. In fact, Experian advertises that this is an average of 13 points to your credit score. So it's something you could turn on and potentially see some impact right away. A couple questions that come up, obviously, when I talk about credit boosters is, does it require hard inquiry? It does not create a hard inquiry on your credit report. You just turn it on, and it's not something that pings your credit report like a credit card application would. If you're going to apply to get a loan, they're going to check your credit report. That's going to put a hard inquiry on your credit report. Credit boosters do not do that. They just kind of attach, and because they have access to that credit report, it's not an inquiry itself. So that's kind of the nice thing. The second thing is that you don't necessarily have to do it with just Experian. Obviously, the Experian Boost service is going to improve that score and that data with Experian, but there are other credit bureaus out there, TransUnion and Equifax, and they both have their own services that are similar to this. I don't see as much advertising for them, but the TransUnion Credit Vision, Credit Booster is a service from TransUnion, and then Equifax has one too. And so what I would probably recommend is, if you can do it, you have the time to do it, is to go to all three bureaus and turn on their credit booster. They are also usually free. And the other question that I get sometimes is, can they hurt my credit score? No, they cannot generally hurt your credit score. I think all of them say that if you turn it on and there's no additional value, it just won't move your credit score, but it won't hurt your credit score either, which is really nice. So it doesn't cost you anything. It's going to take you a little time to go to each of the bureaus to sign up for each of their credit boosters. Doesn't require hard inquiry, but you might see a double-digit increase in your credit score in pretty short order, especially after a few months of using it, or if you have some history in your bank account that it can see and look back, you might see that right away. A credit booster can be a great way to just get started right away and see an immediate impact. All right, moving down the trail here. So we're getting just a little further down to step 2 here. Get a credit builder loan, okay? I'm going to tell you that in most cases, most financial institutions that provide a credit builder loan actually call them credit builder loans. There's some things that you need to understand about them, but I will also say that there are some other products that are the same thing that go by different names. So a no credit loan or a no credit check loan is essentially the same thing. So if you see any of those, they're basically the same thing. A credit builder loan is a product that is designed to help you build credit. So this is a loan product, technically speaking, and structured in such a way that it will report to the credit bureaus, but does not act like a loan. In fact, many people that I've talked to that get this misunderstand it and are kind of confused as they're getting it, why it's not working like a regular loan. So let me quickly explain what a regular loan is like, and it's probably what you expect. You go, fill out an application for a loan, let's call it $500. You fill that out, they look at it, they check your credit history, they approve you, they give you $500, and now you've got to make payments back to the bank or the institution that has lent you that, and you're going to pay payments that equal $500 plus interest and any origination fees or anything like that. But maybe over the 6 months that you pay back that loan, you're going to end up paying back $550, right? Whatever the original principal was plus the interest and the fees, but you're going to get that money up front to be able to spend. And that's what you generally use a loan for. You get a loan so that you can buy something, a piece of furniture, a car, a TV, whatever it might be. A credit builder loan is designed for people with either bad credit, poor credit, people that don't have a lot of credit history. And so its primary purpose is not to front you with money that you can use to buy something, but to create good payment history on your account. Good payment history is the number one metric in determining your credit score. And so what you want to do is get those good payment marks, those on-time payment marks on your credit report. So the credit builder loan is designed to do that. So the big way that that differs is that when you apply for the credit loan, you'll fill that out, and even if you have bad credit, they will approve you. However, this is where it's really different. They will take that $500, if that's what you applied for, and they won't give it to you. They will put it into an account for you. So they will put it into a savings account or a CD or something like that, a deposit account at the bank. It will be for you in your name, but you can't access that. The bank now has no risk attached to this loan. They were going to give you $500, but they're going to hold $500. But you owe $500. So how does this work? Well, what you'll do is you will make loan payments as if you got that $500. So you're going to pay $50 next week and $50 2 weeks later and $50 2 weeks later until that loan is paid off. And as they receive those payments, they will continue to report to the credit bureaus each month that, hey, this person paid their loan payment on time. And so you're going to get month after month, paid on time, paid on time, paid on time. And then when they have received enough money to pay off that loan, the interest and the fees, right? There will be some of those. Then they will give you that $500. So the good and the bad of this is that you're going to be making payments on a loan amount that you haven't received yet. So it's going to seem a little strange. But the way I tend to think about this is think about it as you having a structured savings account that you have to put in $50 a month, $100 a month, whatever it is. because that money isn't going anywhere. You're going to get it back later, and then you'll be able to do whatever you want with it. You'll just get that lump sum, and you can keep it in a bank account, use it for a rainy day or a savings or an emergency fund or something like that. But you're not really paying on nothing. You are making payments essentially to yourself, and you are getting that good payment history. So, after 6 months, now you'll have this loan that has been satisfied and paid with good on time payments. And they say on average that adds 9 points to your credit scores. So, that's a pretty big lift over just a few months. You can pick the dollar amount that you apply for, something that's going to fit your budget, something that you're going to feel comfortable with those payments. And now, a couple things to keep in mind is one, obviously the loan behaves a little differently than other loans. But two, because this is a traditional loan as far as the credit bureaus care, your financial institution, your lender, the bank, the credit union that you're using is going to have a hard inquiry on your credit report. That's kind of the drawback of being able to report to your credit report, is that they're going to have to pull that. Now, I wouldn't worry too much about that. That's usually worth a couple percentage points. Hard inquiries only last about 2 years on your credit report, but the impact diminishes over time. It's just one of those things that they don't want to encourage you to have lots of hard inquiries. But I think overall, the value is there. Even if you're going to take a couple point hit off the bat, you're going to get 9 points overall. So you'll probably pick up double-digit points on the back end of it. So a credit builder loan is another great way to make sure that you're approved, to put yourself on a payment schedule, to start getting some good payment history. Now, why I call this credit trails is because the third step here on the trail builds upon this. So what happens now? Pete, you're saying, I've made these payments into my credit builder loan. Now I've paid that off and they've given me this money. So I've kind of been forced to save. And now I actually have this nice little lump sum. I've got this $500 or whatever amount that you set up. What should I do with it? Well, there's a few things you could do with it. If you need some money for a rainy day, you could put it into a savings account. But if you want to put this into work again for you to get some more benefit to your credit report, you could put this into a secured credit card. Now, there are some different types of secured credit cards. I won't get into all of the differences here, but they are offered by a lot of different organizations and credit unions and banks. And a secured credit card is just a credit card with a credit limit that is equal to the amount of money that you deposit on it. So now you take this $500, you go and you apply for a secured credit card, and they will usually approve you for whatever you put down. So if you take this $500, you give it to the bank, they approve you with a credit limit of $500 on this credit card. So now you can go out and actually use this credit card everywhere that you can use a regular credit card. So your gas station or the grocery store, and the credit limit will be $500. The beauty of that, and the reason that they will approve you for this, regardless of your credit history, is because the bank has taken your $500 deposit, and they know if you don't make any payments, they can use that money that they already have taken from you as a security deposit, applied to the balance of the credit card. There's no risk for them. But let's say you use this credit card, you put some groceries on it, you fill up your car with a tank of gas, you get this bill for $120 at the end of the month. If you pay that off, if you pay off the entire balance of the credit card, or at least the minimum payment, what the bank will do is they will say, hey, we have received the payment as required on this credit card, and report that back to the credit bureau. And so as far as the credit bureau is concerned, they say, hey, Pete got a new credit card. He charged some expenses on it and he paid as required. So Pete gets a paid on time, paid as expected mark on his credit report, and that's going to help your credit report as well. And each month that you do that, you will continue to get paid on time, paid as required marks on your credit report. And so that's going to be additional good history. So maybe you have 6 months of good payment history from your credit builder loan. Now you are building additional months, and this is kind of open-ended. You could have 6 months, a year, 2 years of good payment history. And like I said, that good payment history, paying on time all the time, is going to be the biggest factor in your credit score. However, just like on the credit builder loan, in order to report to the credit bureaus, they will do a hard inquiry when you're applying. So you might see a couple point drop initially as you get your secured credit card, but you're generally going to be approved for whatever you want to put down as your security deposit. So if you bring $200 or $500 or $1,000, that's going to be your credit limit on the credit card. And then over time, they say on average, a secured credit card can add 10 points to your credit score. Now, a couple other things I want to mention here, because there are some different flavors of the secured credit card that I want you to be aware of. The type of secured credit card where your security deposit equals your credit limit is the most popular type. However, there are some secured credit cards that will give you some additional unsecured credit on top of your security deposit. So for example, if you give your bank or your credit card issuer $500, they may give you a $750 credit limit. They may give you a little bit more above your security deposit because they're saying, hey, generally you may not use all that much, but in the worst case scenario, we're only exposed an additional $250. Some, if you put down $1,000, they might give you $1,500 or even $2,000 credit limit. So it just kind of depends maybe on where your credit score is. So they might give you some other options if you're in a fair or average range on your credit score. But those credit cards can even be a little bit more beneficial to you because it gives you a little bit more room. But you got to make sure that you're making those payments on time. Having that unsecured portion of the credit limit can sometimes be a temptation. The other type of secured credit card is called a graduated secured credit card. So if you put $500 down and get a $500 credit limit, if you make payments on time and as agreed for a certain period of time, they may give you some additional unsecured credit at some point after making 6 months or 12 months of on-time payments. So maybe you originally had a $500 credit limit, now it goes up to $750, and then the next year it goes to $1,000, and then the next year it goes to $2,000. And so those can be a great type of card to get, especially at the beginning, because you don't even have that extra capacity. You don't have that extra credit limit yet. But if you just make the payments, it kind of prevents you from having to go out and find another unsecured credit card, apply again. The graduated secured credit card might just grow enough with you that you can just stick with it. So that is Credit Trails T1, the easy trail, the walking trail, the 3 things that you can start doing today that aren't dependent on someone else doing you some charity or doing you a favor or having to pay money out of pocket to get something. You can sign up for credit boosters with the credit bureaus. They are free. They can't hurt you. You might see a bump in your credit score immediately. You can start looking around, start Googling credit builder loans, see if there's a credit union near you that you can join. They have membership requirements. And so if you fit the membership requirements, maybe you can join there. There are a lot of banks, a lot of online banks that offer secured credit cards where you can do the application online and send in your security deposit and your collateral, and then they will issue that credit card. And then make your payments towards that. And then over the next few months or however long you want to do it, get that good payment history. And over time, you can start seeing the benefit to your credit score. And so with those 3 steps, within a short period of time, within 3 to 6 months, you might see some actual meaningful improvement in your credit score. So if you want to get started with this today, I highly recommend checking some of these out. I will put some additional resources out there that might help get you started, but I'm hoping that this will help you on your expedition to get a better credit score. I'll see you later.